Africa and Ethiopia, our humanitarian colleagues are telling us that fighting continues in the north of the country, impacting civilians. There are reports of new displacement and increased humanitarian needs. We and our partners continue to provide humanitarian aid in the north, including in Afar, where more than 31,000 people were reached with food. More than 8,000 people have received health services since the 24th of August. In Tigray itself, 17 trucks of fertilizers were distributed this week to support farmers during the planting season. Also, more than 39,000 people in the northwestern zone received food assistance since last week. In Afar, tens of thousands of people have been displaced since last week from Yallo and Gulina districts bordering Tigray, and from Chifra district bordering Amhara province due to the ongoing armed clashes we've been talking about. In Amhara itself, the situation is reported to be calm in Dessie town following the movements of people who had arrived yesterday from other places in the region. A curfew is imposed on several towns in Amhara from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. This impacts the movement of population, their access to emergency health services, and of course commercial activities. As for the roads into Mekele, they continue to be closed, as well as the air transport available to the UN continues to be inaccessible. We continue to call on all parties to the conflict to take the constant care to spare civilians and civilian objects, including by allowing civilians to leave for safer areas in accordance with international humanitarian law. Rapid and unimpeded humanitarian access to all those in need across northern Ethiopia remains critical.
Since there's also very serious food crisis and the threat of famine there, and Ethiopia is very close to Somalia, is Martin Griffiths planning at all to go to Ethiopia and also to possibly try and do something about helping to restore a ceasefire?
At this point, his mission is focused on the situation in Somalia. We remain, of course, in touch on the ground with all the parties in Ethiopia to try to gain to reopen humanitarian access. I mean, even without the current wave of violence that we're seeing, the situation in parts of Ethiopia on the humanitarian end were dramatic. The continued conflict, and that's why we've been calling for cessation of hostility, just makes things that much more difficult for the civilians.
And in Tigray, you talked about some deliveries being made. Did the UN get back any of the fuel from those or those 12 trucks?
I'm not aware that they have. Obviously, I think there were other sources of fuel that we still have. But the point is, we're not getting the tankers in that we need.